Welcome. I'm going to start with an I Ching this evening. I said the other night I would do an I Ching, and I'm sticking to it. That's just the way it goes around here. In this particular tarot domain, when I say we're going to do an I Ching, we do one. So I'm going to show my little I Ching thing over here. I need a pen, and because I got to write the numbers down, and I need to get a piece of paper. All right, I'm going to use a little Post-it pad. All right, there we go. Jojo, hi. Yeah, I brought the I Ching. That's a little chart I made. Here, let me get to this. That's a little chart I made a long time ago. I can't believe it's lasted all this time. It's watercolor and some ink from that I put ink on a brush. But anyway, so here's the I Ching. So it shows this chart, the top trigram, and then the bottom, and then you figure out where they meet, and that's the number of the reading, so to speak, that you look up in the I Ching book. And I have this guy here. This one is a very nice one, Alfred Huang, and it's a really good I Ching translation. And there's another one I have. Hang on. This is the old classic English translation. Let me get it up here and try and get it. It's this flat gray. Yeah. I Ching, Book of Changes, by Wilhelm Baines. Wilhelm is the main translator. And it's like from the 50s, I think. This is an old one. 1950. Yeah, so where's the thing? Anyway, Book of Changes, blah, blah, blah. There it is. I Ching. So that's like the first, this is the first one that I read. And it was great. I read that many years ago. And then this one I got pretty recently with I don't know why this thing isn't. I got the, focus is a very strange thing sometimes. But this is actually, I really like it. So I'm going to use that one. Now, one thing I wanted to, every once in a while I do, I get into reading things, books and stuff. And so sometimes I'll search online, and I've been, in the last couple of days, searching for New Age stuff. Just New Age general information, spiritual books, New Age stuff. There's always something fun to read, I find. You wander around in a bookstore, you go into the New Age section or something. There's always something cool. But I found that there's a lot of, I couldn't find anything positive. I was looking for websites, and I would find some, or YouTube. Like I searched New Age documentary, and I would get a list back, and I realized that most of the YouTube videos about New Age are people sort of putting together documentaries about New Age to show you how sinful it is and how like against their religion it is and how it's all a gigantic lie run by con artists. And I was like, come on, where's all this coming from? Relax, folks. I mean, look, if we want to get into a comparison of New Age versus organized religion is going to lose every time because there's a body count there throughout his thousands of years of history with a real high body count associated with most organized religion. New Age doesn't really have that, although it's connected to paganism in some ways. But, its connection to different religions is sort of, it's a little bit from here, a little bit from there. And that, what I just said, is one of the things some people seize upon to make horrible criticisms of it and say, well, it's just a little bit, it's hodgepodge. It's like, it's a grab bag. You can do whatever you want. Well, that's kind of what's nice about it, actually, is you can do whatever you want. There's something I like about the idea of making your own spiritual practice. It interests me. And there are books written about that. And it's a fascinating subject. And I think New Age encompasses a lot of different things and it has different approaches. And so there's an undisciplined quality, but what New Age tends to not have, it's supposed to not have, is a lot of dogma. And I mean, you get into dogma maybe with certain people and how they approach meditation or how they approach crystals or Reiki or whatever it is. You might, I don't really know. But the sort of hate of New Age that I found by just doing simple searches is pretty astonishing. Very surprising thing. And I hadn't been aware of that, but I clicked in on a few of these things to see, okay, what is this documentary? And they tend to pose, even the websites, the print things, they tend to lead you in by looking on the surface like they're an explanation of New Age, and then they're not. They start to slowly sprinkle in little snide remarks as they're describing the history of New Age. They sprinkle in little snide remarks, like they'll end a phrase with, well, and this lie has perpetuated itself, or, and of course, all this crystal nonsense goes against the teachings of Christ. And you realize these comments become more and more frequent as you keep reading until you realize it's just a giant hate piece posing as a documentary or an explanation. And these are all over the internet. If you search for New Age, it's almost impossible to find a straight up explanation or a cheerful sort of web presence. I think there must be some kind of an organized effort going on in some quarters. I'm not sure what's going on, but I didn't notice this like 5 years ago. I think that people are starting to go, hey, I get some traffic if I put, real nasty stuff, And yeah, I mean, everybody's religion, their Bible, everybody has a belief. And religions are ideas. They're ideas. And the religion, the books in religion, the books in New Age, I think look, we have the only evidence we have on the face of our planet about religious writings is that people wrote them. That's the only evidence we have. All the evidence that exists points to the fact that people wrote them because they were written in human languages and they were written down with human implements. We have no evidence whatsoever that any higher force said anything ever to anyone in all of human history. None. Zero. In fact, all the evidence is to the contrary. So if you're looking at, a tree and you call it something else, you call it a car, you're insane. Without exception, unless you're trying to be poetic or funny or sarcastic. But as far as we know, nothing has ever been communicated to anyone on the face of this planet throughout history by any force other than the human brain. Period. No evidence whatsoever. And so, for people to say that one religion is a lie and the other isn't, that's insanity. By definition. It's insanity, although I'll give people who talk that way a break. I'll say, okay, it's possible you're not insane. But if not, then you're definitely stupid. So this is why I like what religions say and do. I think these ideas that people have had over the course of human history, these inventions of people that we call religions, are fascinating and in many cases, very healthy. Most of them have really solid, great ideas about, about how people should treat each other. And so does New Age. And so when I see people going with these sort of really negative treatments of New Age, I'm like, well, don't you understand that you're doing the same thing that people have done to your religion or whatever that may be? And it just seems like they're missing, they're kind of being silly. And it's just struck me recently because I was seriously amazed at searching for information. I found nothing in most of my searches that was really useful at all. And it was all just, this is bad, this is a lie, this is against this person, this is against that person. Oh my God, it was just absolutely, it was depressing. And I found that you have better luck actually by searching for books. If you say, find me the best books about New Age, you get a healthier result set. And you can go and buy something from Amazon or something, and it's just better. And which is not to say there's not plenty of nonsense in New Age, but there's nonsense in every religious practice. There are people who do stupid things in every religion and say stupid things, and they try to convince you of things that there's absolutely no evidence for. The thing about that, my attitude about belief is that belief is fine. Belief is something you do without evidence. If you believe that Fahrenheit 451 is not the ignition point for fire, if you believe that it's actually 431, then you probably just don't know how to read. You're going against scientific evidence. You're just not paying attention. And you can't say, I believe that the ignition point is whatever number I've decided to believe, because it won't work. Fire won't happen unless you reach a certain temperature, right? So belief is always, or it exists regardless of what facts are. And it can exist, you can believe something without any evidence at all. And so so if you're going to do that with belief, if you're going to believe contrary to all evidence or without any evidence, then you have to be somewhat easygoing about your belief. It doesn't make any sense to be hardcore about your belief and rigid and say, this is the truth and yours is false, and I'm going to go to war with you if you don't believe as I do, or if you contradict my belief. It doesn't make any sense because you're already engaged in something we call belief, which by definition means you're doing something without any evidence for it whatsoever. Otherwise, it wouldn't be belief. It would be fact. And there is no such thing as a religious fact. It doesn't exist. You can say it's a religious fact that so-and-so became Pope in 1490. Sure, but that's a historical fact. There are no religious facts. There are only religious beliefs and ideas, suggestions for how to behave, what you should and shouldn't do. So anyway, it just has struck me recently as very odd that there's all this New Age hatred. And I define it, I actually label it as hatred. There's hate. There's religious hate going on all over YouTube and the internet. And it strikes me as somewhat dangerous when people begin to behave that way in large numbers as they're doing. I look at them and go, wow, that's actually high risk behavior. Interesting. And I think probably people should discuss it. They should discuss it openly, and maybe there should be videos made about it because, if you're going to make a hate piece and spit it out there for the world to see, then, hey, they can make the video about you. Right? So that's the thing. Anyway, I'm going to continue to try to do some research because I was just trying to find out about this subject matter. I was just curious about New Age. I don't really consider tarot definitively linked to New Age. I think tarot's tarot. It stands on its own, just the way the I Ching does. You can use I Ching and be a New Age practitioner, but that doesn't mean that I Ching has anything really to do with New Age historically. Tarot and I Ching both began long before anyone thought of anything called New Age. I don't know. New Age strikes me as actually, I used to not like the term, but recently I thought, well, it's not actually, it kind of makes sense. It kind of says what it means. It kind of suggests, hey, yeah, we need to go into a new age where people are sort of thinking a little differently maybe than they have tended to in the past, and maybe it would be a little bit more healthy, a little more peaceful maybe. I think it would be hard as a New Age practitioner to get all involved in violent sorts of things that, I mean, my gosh, even Buddhism, which you would think would be completely peaceful, has enormous history of horrific violence associated with it. All major religions do, except for this New Age thing, which is new-ish, and so it doesn't have all that time behind it. It may have its tendrils connected to historical things that may have had problems. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that there are elements of, when you go, there are warped versions of of religious practices that tend to try to go back to certain things. They try to get back to what is it, pagan things, and that can be twisted and warped, and it has been, I think, in history. But anyway, as a general rule, modern New Age practices, I don't think, are associated with highly negative, violent, oppressive behavior. I think pretty much the opposite. So therefore, what's the big deal? And, there are some people pointing out like, oh, New Age is just a bunch of shops, they just sell all this crap and you just walk. It's just crystals and people selling junk. Yeah. Is that the best you have? Is that the best criticism you have, that it's a bunch of charlatans selling junk? So what? I mean, what church have I ever been to that didn't have a little shop selling trinkets and stuff? I mean, what church hasn't been asking people to tithe part of their money to? What church doesn't have a box or with a slot to put money in, or a basket they pass? Come on now. To say that New Age is evil somehow because it's people selling stuff is the absolute height of absurdity. I mean, if that's the best you can come up with, please don't make YouTube documentaries. It's like, because frankly, browsing around some New Age shop, I actually find very relaxing, and kind of, it's like, you see all these cool little things, and some of them you go, oh, that's total crap. That's nonsense. So what? So what? So's a little statue with like a lady wearing a veil, that's light blue and holding a baby in her hand. Come on, it's all horse shit. Let's be serious here. They're little trinkets. So these shops and stuff are not something to hold against a practice or a belief. Or the fact that they sell books, or the fact that there are some crappy authors that have written bad, cheesy books. So what? I mean, more power to them. Let them write more of those books. It's all in good fun. What the hell? Or that there are teachers who manipulate people and get them sucked into some cult. Okay. There's all kinds of cults all over, there's cults in churches. There's, some of the behavior with churches in this country. Ooh. You want cult? Take a walk through Texas sometime. Walk into a couple churches and chat with some of the groups in there. You'll find cult. And so it's all just ridiculous. I'm sorry. I've never been a defender of New Age because I've never really been attached to it or anything. But when I read all this, I'm like, oh man, come on. I have to say something, because it's comical. Anyway, now my New Age I Ching, my I Ching. Let's see. Let's roll the I Ching. I'm going to roll the I Ching for general matter of. Oh, and I see, Nikki, you did join. I'm starting with the I Ching tonight. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to roll. I'm going to say that this side with the four little characters is heads, and the side with the dragon, since it's a dragon tail, is tails. And the heads will be 3, and the tails will be 2. Okay, so we have 8, which gives us a broken line at the top. That's this, a total of 8. That's 3, 3, and 2. And that it shows us that it's a broken line at the top. So let me roll again for the second line. 7, which is a solid line. And I'll roll again. This is for basically the idea of spirituality and belief and, worrying about negativity and, going after other people's beliefs, that kind of thing. This is just sort of a general suggestion for sort of, a comment on that. This thing I noticed in the last couple of days, negativity about New Age. I'm just doing an I Ching roll to sort of give us a little sort of human hint about how to approach this kind of thing. Okay, now we have 4, and so another 7. Solid line. That's the top trigram. So that is a broken line at the top and 2 solid lines. It gives us water. It gives us water over here in this column. So let's keep going for the bottom trigram. See where we get. And we get 6, 7, 8. That's another broken line. Again, we have 2 more lines to do. And that gives us 4, 5, 6, 7. That's a solid line. 1 more line. And we get 6. Which is, a moving broken line. Okay. All right. And that is basically, which one is that? That is an open top. That's 29. No, I'm sorry. 47 is our reading. 47 over here. This is the water coming down and meeting. Here we are. Okay, 47. Let's see what it says. 47. I'm literally going to read this straight out of the book because I have not memorized the I Ching. That would be, wow. Okay, so what the I Ching is telling us about this sort of negativity regarding New Age. Okay, so what the top half, the top 3, that's actually lake. And then the second one on the bottom is water. So we've got lake on top of water, which is called exhausting, otherwise known as kun. Kun means difficulty and hardship. It suggests a difficult position or situation. In ancient times, it meant being surrounded by enemies, poverty-stricken, extremely tired or exhausted. So this is very appropriate for the subject matter. I was talking about these attacks on New Age that I had just accidentally stumbled across, being so predominant in my searches for info. And here we have a reading that immediately points out surrounded by enemies. It's really interesting. So the idea here is with lake on top of water, when growing upward goes on without stopping, surely one will become exhausted. Thus, after growing upward, exhaustion follows. I use the translation exhausting. The ideograph of Kun is a tree placed within a big mouth. Here, mouth signifies an enclosure. The symbol of the preceding gua is wood growing upward from the earth. The ideograph of this gua is wood confined in an enclosure. It can no longer grow. In the end, it will become exhausted and die. Before the Zhou dynasty, the ideograph of Kun was represented by wood and the sign for stop, indicating that the wood stops growing, it becomes exhausted. The structure of the gua is lake above water. Water below lake is a picture of an empty lake. The water here has been used up completely. Exhausting defines a situation where the water is draining away. One's energy is used up. This is one of the most difficult situations described by the 64 gua in the I Ching, fraught with restriction, obstruction, oppression, and exhaustion. All 6 lines are unfavorable. The situation seems extremely gloomy and hopeless. But this is the best time for one to hide one's capacities and bide one's time. In an exhausting situation, one must still seek prosperity and smoothness and remain steadfast and upright. Only the great person possesses these traits, which will bring about good fortune. In the spirit of the I Ching, an extremely exhausting situation bears the seeds of great regeneration. The sage accepts every situation with faith and ease. Not many people understand and believe this truth. Now, let's compare this reading from the I Ching to the 13th card in tarot, the death card. Very similar idea. Exhaustion, ending of something, death of something, leading to possibility for regeneration. This is very similar to that card. What they call the decision in this particular reading reads almost like a little poem, basically. It says, exhausting, prosperous and smooth, being steadfast and upright, great person, good fortune, no fault. These are words not believed. Then they do some commentary on the decision. Let me. They say, exhausting, the firm is covered, facing danger, still be joyous. In an exhausting situation, one does not lose his prosperity and smoothness. Only the superior person is able to do it. Being steadfast and upright, only the great person possesses these traits. It will bring about good fortune because he is firm and central. There are words not believed. He who considers the words important falls into exhaustion. I mean, what this reading is saying is, if we're taking the subject matter of all this attack and negativity and weird sort of hidden hatred of New Age, what it's saying is, in spite of that and how exhausting it may be and how negative and how it really leads nowhere, and it's just tiring, and it just makes everybody feel bad. But the important thing is to be the great person, to be able to stand calmly and maintain your excellent attitude, maintain your positivity in spite of all of those attacks, and just keep going. In other words, it's saying, in spite of everything, as hard as it may be, just don't let it stop you. That's actually really good advice. And you kind of can't go wrong with the I Ching. Um, uh, so we go on here, and it says the significance of this reading. It discusses the way to deal with an extremely difficult time or situation. The text is enigmatic. The image of the Gua suggests that the yin forces overwhelm the yang, but the yang will not be overcome. The virtuous and the wise might fall into a destitute situation, but it is only a temporary condition, because they know how to practice self-examination and to regret and repent. They always learn something from their former errors. The little fellows might be successful and prosperous for a time, but they will surely end up destitute. They refuse to understand the law of cause and effect. One who damages others will eventually damage oneself. I think that in the context of what I was discussing about all this weirdly negative New Age nonsense that I found, I think that advice is very appropriate. Read the I Ching under the top camera. Reading from the book under it just wouldn't show. It wouldn't focus. This is set up to focus on a flat surface. Otherwise, if you start putting a book under here, it'll get all fuzzy and it just won't work. What I would suggest, if you're interested in I Ching, really is to remember this one. I'm having trouble getting an automatic focus for some reason today. I'm not sure why. Let me. I'm not sure why it's being so persnickety. Something very weird. But anyway, yeah, I don't know why the focus is so slow. So here we go. Alfred Huang. The Complete I Ching. So just check Amazon and you'll see that'll come right up. It's one of the most popular ones. Anyway, the I Ching, yeah, it's always sort of interesting and subtle. And it's one of those things, just like the tarot is interesting to just hold a deck of cards and, flip through and read it. Like, just look at them and ponder one card after another. It's like opening up a storybook you've never seen before. And you can read the I Ching from cover to cover and never do any readings with it. And it's excellent. It's just a book that just will, it's just a book of great advice on every single page, how to live and exist in the best possible way. It's always pointing out like when to remain calm. You notice in this reading I did, in spite of being attacked and surrounded and treated poorly, it says maintain your positive outlook, maintain your dignity, continue being the great person. It doesn't say just fight. It says continue being the great person. Which means Continue to be yourself. Keep your belief. Keep your self possession. I Ching is wonderful for that. Now, let me see. I have. Okay, Jojo, I see you. You're in there, and I have. Okay, Nikki and Misery. I see people in here, so I'm not sure if someone left. They got tired of hearing about I Ching, but Jojo, go ahead. I'm going to start shuffling now, so we'll go straight into tarot. I've taken up all this valuable tarot time with I Ching, Book of Changes. How could I do that? Rest of the year. Okay. Rest of the year. And you're being very sort of, you're gonna let it be a very general sort of an approach. And let's see. Okay, well, let's see sort of what general areas the cards kind of point in. All right, initially, there's a 4 of Pentacles coming up. And with our, here we go, 4 of Pentacles. Now, it's reversed. Normally, the 4 has a great deal of assurance, safety, security. Everything is, my focus is is very weird. I'm not sure what is going on with it. Maybe I have to restart the cameras. But anyway, the 4 in reverse dealing with coins points toward physical and financial work type scenarios. And it indicates a little uncertainty. It's saying that the security, the solid foundation maybe that you want to depend on is not necessarily going to stay there. It's not a major card, though. It's a number card. And so these indications are not as powerful as some others in the tarot. It means that it can change easily. It can go back and forth, up and down. You could be a little unstable, unsecure for a while, and then it quickly changes its character again. But that is a general thing that it's saying. This will be sort of a factor to think about for the remainder of the year. This will be a concern. In other words, something to sort of anticipate, be prepared for. Then we get a 2 of Wands reversed. Okay, so the 2, if we get into this fella here, he has resources. He has capabilities. He's prepared. However, he's not ready to do anything yet. You can tell in this card that one of the wands is bolted to the wall. At the bottom there, you can see it's bolted to the wall. And that indicates that the hint that he's still a little tied down to his circumstance. He's still a little tied down to being safe, like the 4 would suggest that he wants to be. The fire, the wands, the creative spirit, the instinctive effort to grow, to make things. It's your drive to build and create. That there's perhaps a slight lack of preparation. I'm trying to fix my camera focus. It's getting me. I don't know why the autofocus isn't working. There we go. Maybe. Sort of. There's a I'm just trying to phrase it correctly. There's something that you want to do, but you're feeling ill-prepared to do it. You're not trusting your own ability. So the idea there is sometime along the line here over the rest of the year, there's some doubt about an aspect of what it is you do that you feel isn't yet ready to use. A little lack of confidence is what this is suggesting. And this is on the left side. It's sort of an unconscious. You're not really aware of this. Some self-doubt is going on here, is what it means. Over here on the right, okay, now you move. You've got a wands again on the right. And it's a 5. And you can see that these folks, here, let me show you. These folks are all kind of rousting about, jousting and banging around and being silly and bonking each other on the head. They're in kind of a cheerful combat. Basically, it's not a big violent thing. It's just there's some strife and conflict going on, but it has the quality of roughhousing. And so what it represents, and the 5 generally represents this, is some unsettling new approach, a new idea, a new possible way of doing your work has presented itself that causes a little chaos and turmoil around, and you're not quite sure how to handle it. And this is saying, hey man, be ready for this, because there's a new thing that you may have. Maybe it's new job. Maybe it's a new idea for career, something here. And it's saying that this is going to be very sort of visible and clear to you when it happens. So let's look at the general trajectory here. It's saying, be aware that some insecurity is coming. And it has to do with things you need, with work, with physicality, it could be even health. But it's something tangible that is not going to be quite as solid as you want it to be. And there's some self-doubt about your creative powers going on. However, it's telling you, be ready for a whole new idea that you have for how to approach your work, what you do, what you make, because it's going to come. Now, all of these are number cards, so they're all kind of flexible. It means that none of these things are particularly difficult to deal with. There may be some self-doubt, there may be some instability, but it's not going to be anything crushing and earth-shattering. It's going to be rather, you can deal with these things without putting months of work into them. Just be ready for when the time comes to seize upon the new idea that may at first cause you some concern. There you go. That's kind of the idea for the rest of the year. It's probably how, whatever it is you make or do, it's in that area. Absolutely. Take the opportunity, because the opportunity is going to come here on this Five of Wands, but it's not going to look necessarily at first like a great opportunity, because it's going to make you go like, what the hell is that? And it's going to upset you a little bit. It's going to get you a little nervous. Maybe nervous because of some area where you're feeling like you're not quite ready here. And because you might have some insecurity about your circumstances here. And so this might freak you out a little bit and make you go, oh God, I don't know if I can deal with this. Well, what the card is saying is it's going to come. And this 5 always indicates a new thing that leads to much greater growth and possibility for you. That's what the 5 is. 5 is always very difficult to handle and creates a big mess, but leads to big new things. So, if that makes any sense to you, then it may be something you'd want to remember down the road. Oh, I know. Like that's the thing about the 5 card is you kind of want to know what that little thing is going to be. That's going to be so, like, what the heck is this? You want to know. It's like, hey, it's like a page turner. You want to, what happens next? Now I see Nikki is in the queue, but I don't know if Nikki is here. If Nikki's here, then it's Nikki's turn. Oh, your father wants you to go into risky business with him, but it won't be very stable. Business. Okay. Well, who knows, man? The four upside down says something's not going to be stable. That's what we said. And a little nervousness over here about you maybe not being ready for something. But then over here, this new kind of thing that causes a lot of concern and maybe makes a little chaos for a while, but has a lot of potential. There you have it. If that's where you go thinking, then it probably applies. I have Nikki next in the queue. There's Misery also, but I don't know if Nikki or Misery are still here. So I think Nikki is not here. Very rich. It would make you a very rich, stressed man. Well, hey, I'd rather be a rich, stressed person than a not rich, stressed person. Now, So Nikki or Misery, whichever one is still here, can pick a topic. Oh, I'll just leave them here. Yeah, maybe I should always begin my tarot stuff with an I Ching, just to be contrary. I don't think Nikki or Misery are here. They joined the queue and then they probably got annoyed at my I Ching nonsense. Money, the root of happiness? No, it can't possibly be. Can't be. Money is just a tool, you know? It's a tool. Look, if you have a lot of money and you also know how to be happy or find things to do that make you happy, then you've got a really great situation. But you can also be a person that knows how to be happy and doesn't have money, and you've got a great situation until you need money. Well, I mean, you can use money to make you happy. It depends on your own approach. If I go and buy a camera, I'm happy because I have the camera. And then I go and I take pictures and I'm happy. That's one way to look at it. Having money sometimes, you know, if you put money somewhere and you say, I have some money saved just in case something happens, let's say, that can make you feel safer. And usually I find it's easier to get happy if you at least feel safe. So they all kind of play together. You know, if you're constantly struggling for money, like to pay the rent, those things can make you unhappy. But there are some people who can even be in really dire circumstances and they're still essentially happy in other ways. Sparkling water. It makes tarot possible. You're gonna call. You're gonna call your dad and start the business. I bet. That's interesting. Yeah, I think Nikki and Misery disappeared. So I have to take them out of the queue. just pondering. See what my... Okay. That's, I guess my focus is working. I've been working hard lately on putting together the right visual equipment in order to do this. It's more complicated than one would think. You can't just set up a camera and plug it in and expect to, and I found that webcams are a bit limited. They're really very hard to get good results out of. You got to be very careful. And I found with a webcam, there's one main thing you can't do. Don't zoom it. You have to leave it unzoomed, because I think the zooming is all digital and it just blows up the pixels and you end up with a very sort of fuzzy picture, even with a really good webcam. So that's a lesson I've learned this last week. I was trying to use the webcam for this, and then I realized I couldn't really get away with it. Not the way I wanted to do it. I mean, you can, but I couldn't get control because of that zoom thing. You have to leave the camera zoomed out. And I couldn't get a nice enough looking image. I couldn't frame the image the way I wanted to. So I had to do a different camera, to make it work. And the camera has an actual zoom, so you can a physical zoom. So you turn the thing and you can come, to the right distance. Because you can't put a camera right up on top of you. It never works well. You don't take pictures of people with the camera right slammed up in front of you. If you want to take a decent picture of somebody's face or something, you always want to zoom in from a little bit further away. It makes the structure of their head look correct. Whereas if you just put a camera right up in front of somebody, it eggifies the whole shape of the face. It just makes it all, makes it rounded somehow in a weird way. So you really have to get back from someone and then zoom in, or use a longer lens, a telephoto lens, to get close in on their face. And then you'll notice the pictures always look way better. That's the secret of portrait photography. Always zoom in on a person from further away, and then you get good faces. That's why you'll see most photographers, like fashion photographers, who are like taking pictures of someone's face, a model or something, you'll see they have a long lens on their camera. They don't have a little short lens where they're getting right up close. They have a long one of those big lenses, so they can stand like across the street and zoom right in on the person's face. That's one of the photography secrets. So we're doing tarot and photography secrets. But I was, this 4th of July, yesterday, I went to an amusement park and I had my camera with me and I took all these pictures of action pictures, of the Ferris wheel was going, roller coaster was like flying by, and I was like, oh yeah, I can use a fast speed and I can like get really good, like freeze the action really well. Yeah, I was trying all kinds of things to figure out the camera and stuff. It was fun. And then, yeah. Then I played whack-a-mole at the amusement park, and I won. I won this. Luigi. I won Luigi from Mario Kart. Mario, Nintendo. I won a Luigi stuffed thing. That's pretty good. Whack-a-mole is where you have the big hammer, and as the moles pop up out of their holes, you have to hit them on the head, and they try to trick you. Boom, 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 and you have to like that. So I won, and I was like, "What?" So I never play amusement park games. Like they have the crazy games with like the rings, and you try and throw them. And the little round red plastic ring, you have to try and get it around the top of the bottle. They've got a whole bunch of bottles there. And that's so impossible. I was telling people, you can't win that. You can throw 500 of those and none of them will go on there. In fact, you shouldn't even try to aim. You should just sort of throw them like a Frisbee so they spin and just let them bounce, whatever. It just let chaos come in and see if you get lucky. And of course, nobody won that. They threw like, I don't know, 30 of them. And nobody won that. But whack-a-mole is the one you can win because you just have to be quick and just hit the things you can't miss one. You have to hit every single one. I think you have to get 150 points by hitting all of them. And then you get the thing. If you're the first person to 150, that's how it works. There have to be 3 players. And if you're the first person to 150, you get it. So you have to hit them fast, and be a little quicker than the other guy. But then you win your Luigi. Let's see what. Let me pick up. There's a book over here. I'm just going to look up what this book says about the 4 of Pentacles reversed. Here we go. Yeah, they mention financial instability, losing ground, letting go, divesting, releasing what had been clutched or hoarded. That's interesting. Now let's look at the Two of Wands. I'm just trying to get another perspective on these cards. Two of Wands. Making your move or being complacent. Well, we went with the sort of complacent, unprepared. I added unprepared to that. Restless, eager for change and expansion, torn between security and risk, a visionary. Contemplating a move, longing to explore, dreaming of bigger and better things. Reversed, making your move, or conversely, being complacent. Being complacent, they're being a little, they're giving reversed a little bit of short shrift there. The idea really that, of not being ready. You're complacent because of not being prepared. I tend to elaborate a little bit more than some books do, and I think that's probably what you need to do in a reading. Is I think you got to kind of give the reading as much, I was going to say as much material as you can, but that's not always the wise move. Sometimes you need to be blunt and direct. But as a rule, my general approach to tarot is that it's not particularly blunt and direct. It just tends to be suggestive. And to be suggestive, I think you have to sort of circle around things a little bit. I'm essentially really just waiting to see if anyone wants to come in and join the queue. People are probably all tired of tarot after the 4th of July in the United States anyway. Probably like, we were out last night barbecuing and it's just too exhausting to listen to someone read tarot tonight. I'm just not going to do it. I'm going to wait. Wait till the end of the week when my wits are about me again. Everybody's trying to sleep. Nobody wants a tarot reading on July 5th. Come on. This is my little digital tarot cart. I've got my little awning. I should have a little awning graphic up here. Like the little flags hanging down here. I should do that. That'll be funny. Make a little booth window here around. It might be a great idea, actually. I could draw something like that and then make a template out of it, I think. I put a new episode of the podcast up just before I did this. Just readings and, a little chit chat. I think I did. It's just it's one reading, sort of long reading, and then a card for the 4th of July. I do little things like that. I make readings into podcasts, because I think a tarot podcast should kind of have a lot of tarot in it. And that means a lot of readings. But what I'm also going to do is I'm going to make episodes where I go through each of the cards. And I'm going to make a video, which is an explainer of each card meaning done very quickly. Just 20 seconds per card or something like that. Yeah. So if I do that, let's say 78 times 20. Wow, that's a 26-minute video. Can I do that? Really? 20 seconds per card. No, let's say 30. Okay, that's a 39-minute video. So I can make a 39-minute video. It would end up being 45 minutes because I would do some explaining a little. I do a little intro first. So it'll be 45 minutes or less if I spent 30 seconds per card. That's 2,340 seconds divided by 60, right? That's 39 minutes. That's fine. I'm going to have to be very, very disciplined about keeping each card explanation to 30 seconds. I have to do upright and reversed. Keep it going at a clip. And I think I want to do it all in one take, which means, holding cards up, to the camera, talking, doing the explanation, pull the next card up to the camera, the talking for 30 seconds, and just do it straight through the deck in order. I'll do it in order, all right side up, for the entire 78. And I'll use the Rider-Waite-Smith deck because, at least for this video, because that's what most people are interested in. And then the second video, I'll do the Tarot de Marseille deck. But the video also, the soundtrack for the video will go as a podcast episode where it'll be a 45-minute episode because the podcast is great. Audio only for all the card meanings. It's perfectly fine. I gotta check. Is there any? No, no one's queued up. Okay, so yeah, people get impatient. You know, they come in around and they want a reading like that. They have something that's on their mind maybe, and they jump in. I want a reading. And so maybe they're popping into like 5 different streams, different tarot readers, joining their queues, and hoping somebody picks them up real quick. You know, it's just the way things are. You know, gamers. I'm telling you, man, gamers. I mean, most people on Twitch are gaming. I think a lot of people who are doing tarot stuff here, they're during other time they're probably doing gaming. Twitch is so game oriented; it's almost a drawback. You know, because gaming is very fast paced, and so people aren't particularly used to taking their time with something like this. So you just have to understand that when you're doing this kind of stream. I wonder if I'm going to make anyone, irritate anyone with my comments about people making stuff that's, very anti-New Age. I wonder. You never know. You never know what's going to... People are very strange. Once you start dabbling in religion, spirituality, for some reason, people get incredibly defensive. Well, they get defensive and offensive. They get combative. Which is the weirdest, I think it's one of the weirdest traits of human beings, is this strange dependency on sticking to one's religious beliefs and considering everyone else's to be somehow wrong. That idea that a belief, if held, must make a contrary belief false. Even though all belief is based upon zero evidence. Therefore, your belief can't possibly make any sense. And neither can the other person's. None of it makes any sense. So if you say the other guy is wrong, your IQ is below 100. You can only say somebody else's belief is wrong if you don't have mental capacity, which means that a very large portion of human history has been guided by severely deficient people. I mean, it's obvious. You only have to think about it very briefly to arrive at that. But when you say this, people get the disturbance field starts to vibrate because you're calling them stupid. Interesting. I mean, what could be stupider than the Pope? Come on. Really. I hate to say it, but no, I don't. I enjoy saying it. Yeah. That's the thing. In doing tarot, and you get on, you try to do something, you read tarot for someone. You want to read, you want to talk about tarot, you want to discuss ideas, but you don't want to get into pretending that, you've got some kind of authority. It's like, I think in Judaism they have, rabbis, and I think that there's much more of a inclination toward being a teacher and going back and forth with people. So it's all very interesting to I like to think about these things once in a while. And then I'll turn around and I'll enjoy reading a book that's very much sort of, I like reading religious ideas and not being critical of them, just absorbing them. Contradictory a little bit. Oh, Jojo, there you are. Yeah. There you are. I mean, see, and look, parents, they're like, they're supposed to know what they're doing. and we're supposed to be like, okay, whatever, Dad, Mom. If you think that's a good decision, okay, I'll listen. That's the way it's supposed to work, I think. 3 of Cups reversed. What would that sort of hint at. It's kind of like holing up in your room and not going out on the date. Reading on your dad's investment. Well, now remember, the tarot nor I are financial advisors or accountants or anything like that. But that doesn't mean the cards don't have some message that we can sort of try to decrypt. I'm going to do a very logical sort of, I'm going to cut the deck and then go 1, 2, 3 off the top, just to be sort of numeric about it. Let's get a general impression Queen of Wands reversed. Something a little something hasn't quite been able to grow. Something is again, there's a lack of confidence showing up. A little bit of a lack of discipline. I can't make my focus work today. It's like, here we go. Something not flourishing. The Queen tends to be a nurturing figure, a helpful figure, growing the home front, keeping the home happy and content, always thinking about others, guiding with a gentle hand. Reversed, there's a little bit of undisciplined behavior, a little too much anxiety. Things may have been a little restricted. Things haven't quite grown as they should. So that's a primary thing to keep in mind. But then over here on the left, we have the 6 of Pentacles, and it gets into the idea of, and this is sort of a subtext position, a real sharing and great benefit, openness, harmony, getting along with others. Something in business and money ends up being very helpful and leads to enjoyment of the work. And there's just a lot to go around, and you feel like you can afford to share. It may be, That's a positive indicator there. On the right, something to keep visibly in mind, a goal, is the Knight of Wands, which is highly active. It means to seize the opportunity. And he goes out there and takes the action required. That is a person of action and swift movement. And so this suggestion of something coming up and something to stay in front of your vision is to seize action, take creative action, put your knowledge, put your skills to work actively without hesitation. That's what that implies. So it could be that the investment leads to the ability to perform, to do the work, to continue. It's possible that this is a growth process, a movement, gaining enough to have the confidence to balance out all of one's affairs and enough to share, which in turn leads to this being able to take highly productive action. And all these two things both leading out of the current problem, which is a lack of growth, a stagnation, and an uncertainty as to what or who to do and be. So all of this leads to beneficial outcome in the financial and business area, and great activity and productivity going on over here, which becomes an integral part of what's going on because it's a court card. And it could also indicate a person who can take the required action and represents that sort of the ability to take risk confidently with assuredness and skill. I would say that, in business, look, you have to be focused. And this does imply that there's potential for great activity and productivity here. You can only look at the Knight as being highly skilled and highly capable to take the actions necessary. And if that's running a business, then that's what the Knight is doing. And so the point is to get away from the problem that has been here. Lack of confidence, something, growth too slow here with the reversed queen. Not enough activity going on here. This guy is required to come in and break down the wall. And sharing, of course, this implies, the word that comes into my head is plentiful. Right here, plentiful. These are certainly good possibilities, Hi, Peach. How are you? Good evening. I wish I kind of had more ability to invest. Oh, I'm good, Peach. I sat down and we've been doing a couple of readings here. I did an I Ching this evening. I started with that, and it was very interesting. I was sort of thinking I should maybe do an I Ching each time I get on here. It might be fun because it's sort of a different flavor of inspiration. Hey, yeah, that sounds really great, Jojo. Yeah, kind of like a family business, you know? Yeah. I was just saying, I wish I had more ability to invest in things. And, it seems like it would be fun to be smart at that. I'm just not. I would never know, like, what would be a wise, like, how to pick a company and go, oh, there's a huge possibility here. This company's going to explode in value. I wouldn't know how to analyze that. Oh, yeah, I guess so. You hire me, right? Well, and that's why people have like 401ks and stuff, because they have their own experts managing those funds, and you don't have to know anything. Yeah. Yeah, Peach, there are websites. But still, it's like if you're going to invest directly in things on your own, that's what I mean is like really, I just don't know how to do it. I tried once and played around, it's like it never works when I sort of mess around and say, well, I'll just see how it goes. I'll invest $200 just to see how this thing works. And then a week later, my $200 is worth 180. And I'm like, oh, well, that's not going to work well. So, well, but see, it's the thing is, if you want to do that, you got to sit down and apply yourself. If you're going to invest in things, you got to sit down and learn what the hell you're doing and really sort of gradually figure it out. And, I would say you play around with a couple $100 at first just to see if you know how to run the thing. And, I just get discouraged. If the $200 turns into 180, I'm like, the hell with it. So I never give it a chance. Oh, hi, Diane. How are you? I see. First time chat, Diane. I was just, yeah. So doing a reading for like hints at, thank you, Diane. Very nice of you. Move this up here. There we go. Bubble. Hi, Bubble. How are you? I was just telling everybody how bad I am because I just did a reading for who's, we were talking about investing, and I'm just in real life, I'm just like a crappy investor. I don't know what the hell to do. Like if I get on E-Trade or something and play around with a few dollars just to see what to do, I'm like guaranteed if I say I'll put some money over here, I'm guaranteed the next day that money is going to be worth $20 less. Oh, Bubble, you've dozed. Oh my God, no, you know what you're telling me? You're telling me, you're not telling me my voice is soothing. You're telling me what I'm saying is so damn boring that you fell asleep. That's what it is. I've just been droning on about nonsense and okay. All right. All right. So, um, yeah, I'm just a crappy investor, man. There was a company a long time ago that I tried to invest in when online investing was sort of really getting going. And thank God I only put a little bit in because literally I I put the money in and literally like a few days later it was gone. The company it would just like went it just went and I was just like okay, that's it. I can't do this. I'm never doing it again. Fortunately, I did it in a small way, but this is what I'm talking about. I have no ability, none, to figure out what company is going to do well. Yeah, really. I know. I mean, their services, E-Trade is highly legitimate. E-Trade's like a big, legitimate place, but that still doesn't mean you're going to make the right thing to pick. If you're an idiot like I am, you're just going to pick all the wrong things every single time. That's why someone like me, it's much better to put money into like a fund. You know, just let them manage the fund and I, have nothing to do with it. But I know people who do it like as a hobby, investing, and they make money. They make good money. And I'm always like, I'll go to a party and I'll be sitting there and they're like, what they're talking about. I'm like, Jesus, really? You made that kind of money doing just basically clicking a few buttons? But it's more than that because they have to know which companies to click on. They have to find that out somehow. They have to study. Yeah, I could ask an advisor, I suppose. I don't know, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, but then you got to pay the advisor. Yeah, right. I know. What exactly? Why would you go and risk the money you have left after surviving? Oh, really? There's a diagram that tells you stock patterns. Well, hey man, if there's some secret, what the hell? I'll try it again. I'll try it with $200. What's a bull and when to buy and sell? Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, your kids just sneak the money. Yep, I know. I was a kid. I remember doing that. I remember if I needed ice cream, absolutely. Yep. Yep, for sure. If the ice cream truck came around and I heard that bell, I was like, I got to find $1 somewhere quick. 20, oh my gosh, $20 a tooth. What? I mean, I used to get like, I don't know, for a tooth, I might have gotten max like $5. Max. But see, they gave it to me all in coins. So it seemed like significant. Tooth fairy. Yeah. Make her dad the tooth fairy. You don't need to be the tooth fairy. Yeah, dollar. I think even $5. What I'm remembering, $5. I think even that's high. Yeah. But boy, that's bringing back memories. I remember that. Yeah. That whole tooth fairy thing under the pillow. Yeah. The little, yeah. Oh, okay. Dad who doesn't want to be the tooth. I get it. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, maybe you can convince him to be the tooth fairy somehow. I mean, sometimes you just have to be like, you'll be the tooth fairy or else. Oh, you are? Okay, well, so you have to be the tooth fairy then. Well, all I got to say is your son, if he's got the tooth fairy at all, then that's good. Yeah, 4 years old, man. Yeah, you've got some time. Yeah, but see, he won't believe her. He'll be like, "Nah, I know the tooth fairy. I know you're full of crap. The tooth fairy's real." Well, I mean, it's easy to fix. You can fix that. Just make up some story. He'll get back on the Santa boat right away. It's funny how I remember when I believed in Santa Claus. I actually do remember. And the Easter Bunny. I do remember that there was a phase that I went through where I began to know that Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny weren't real, but I tried to keep believing in them. I remember trying to make myself, and that I was able to do that for like one Christmas and maybe one Easter, to sort of say to myself, they're not real, but it's possible I'm wrong about this. And so I'm just going to choose to believe that they're real. And I was able to do that for one time. Oh, yeah. See, that is the problem every parent has, is the sneaky kid who, for obvious reasons, wants to see Santa Claus. They want to see it. They're like, who wouldn't? So some of them are not going to sleep, and they're going to get up, and then you have to be really fast on your feet to figure out how to get out of that one. You could say, oh, no, you missed Santa. He was already here, but he made a mess on his way out, and your aunt was just trying to clean things up. Like he left some snow on the floor, and she was sweeping it up. That's what you do. Oh, well, okay. Well, yeah, good. That's good. Maybe you'll have to give her a tooth fairy raise in order to keep her mouth shut about Santa. She'll say, Mom, that Santa thing, I'm going to tell my brother Santa's fake. Unless the tooth fairy comes more often and brings more. And then I'll keep the secret. Mad money. Yep. Yep. Yeah, we should we should pull a tooth fairy card. Pull a tooth fairy card and see what that. Oh, the Knight of Wands again shows up. So the tooth fairy says Knight of Wands. In other words, I'm all about doing my own thing and stay out of my way. The tooth fairy's coming, hell or high water. That's what that says. Tooth fairy is on a mission. Won't take any nonsense. She's coming. The knight takes no nonsense. The knight is like all about action, charging ahead, achievement. This, by the way, is an I Ching hexagram. That is lake over water. It's a pessimistic I Ching, except that it represents incredible exhaustion and difficulty and being surrounded by hostility, but maintaining your presence of mind and continuing to be the great person that you are and persevering. There's a very, very quick little I Ching lesson. The tooth fairy ain't playing. The tooth fairy don't play. Yeah, I did the I Ching earlier and got that reading that was all about. It's actually, I was drawing a comparison between that I Ching reading, lake over water, being full of difficulty, and it's also about the exhaustion of like something you can't continue. And so there's all of this negativity. However, this death, so to speak, leads to regeneration if you maintain your being the great person that you are. You maintain your composure in the midst of all this difficulty. And I was comparing that to the 13th tarot card, the nameless card or the death card, and how similar those messages are. The regeneration after something dies. The ending of one thing, the beginning of new. But the I Ching is more about how you continue to keep your balance and stay strong in the middle while being surrounded by enemies, by negativity, by hostility, by attack. And you stay yourself and you stay solid in who you are. That's what the I Ching was talking about. And yeah. So, but there are anything that gets into the realm of, how to live life and archetypes and suggestions about how to be, how to improve yourself, how to become more aware, they're all going to have correspondences. These systems are going to have relationships with each other. That's why numerology and astrology both have correspondences with tarot. They touch upon the same subject matter. Oh, yeah. And, within I Ching, you can learn tons every day. You can probe the I Ching for years and never fully get to the bottom of it. Just like with tarot, you can think about and read about the tarot endlessly, and you never really finish. You never know everything. You never realize every possibility that's contained in the tarot. And it's funny, I'm always trying to plug holes in my tarot thinking. I'm always trying to say, okay, you know what? I'm weak on this card. Or like, the Seven of Swords. I always feel a little like I don't quite have a solid grip on its meaning. And so I try to fill that. I try to look at things about that card. And then the next day it's another card where I'm like, oh, I'm weak on this one. And you're never satisfied. You're always trying to figure out if you've got really to the bottom of every tarot card. And you never quite do. Hey, you don't have to touch that same thing. I could say the same thing, Bubble. I've had tarot decks and I've gotten into it and then never touched them. It just happened. It takes a certain amount of mental energy to pursue the tarot, even if it's just you looking at your own deck. It takes effort because you're pondering things, and you know that when you look at them, they've got all this history and meaning, and you don't know all of it. And so your brain starts to spin around through these, and you're like, okay, I have to go and get a book, and I don't want to do that yet. And so it's a little draining, and you tend to put them aside for a while. It's work. It's kind of work. And so, you can yeah, with no time, But look, you come in here, it's a tarot place, and it gets it gets that part of your mind exercised. And that's the good thing with these streams, it's like podcasts. These streams and podcasts, they have, thank you, Bubble. They have that, you can just listen while you're doing other stuff or like getting ready to, so I often will listen to a podcast like when I'm getting ready to go to sleep. And like for half an hour in there, I'll just have something playing, just I put it down like low-ish volume, and I'm just sort of getting stuff put away and ready. And it's a really great way because I tend to actually absorb a lot during that half hour right before like turning the lights off, and it's a good thing to do. And so you can fit a lot of that absorption in during those times where no matter how busy you were during the day, you still probably have that little zone at the very end of the day when you're getting ready to go to sleep where you can have something like this or a podcast or whatever going on, and you're absorbing it. It's almost like a little free time zone. You don't have to cook dinner. All you have to do is like brush your teeth, that kind of stuff. And you can listen to a lot of stuff there. And then of course, you come in to my thing. And of course, if you need to go to sleep really fast, you just listen to me and you'll be like, You'll be out like a light, like that. Maybe I know what I should do. Here's what I'll do. I'll start a podcast specifically, one of those things with like sleep, where I'll have like, I'll be like, I'll sort of, I'll read stories and I'll be like, and once upon a time, the princess went into the forest, and lo and behold, as she looked around, she noticed that the tree boughs were gently swaying in the breeze, and the moonlight cast the softest, gentlest shadows upon the mossy earth, and the nearby stream burbled and babbled through the night, and soon the princess drifted off into a profound and deep sleep. There. Everybody should be asleep now. Yes. Everybody's unconscious. I could read tarot. The Ten of Swords. We've come such a long way, but now it's time to sleep, to rest. It's kind of fun, actually, to talk that way. You know what, Bubble? I actually do read kids' stories. I used to read them all the time. I have audio stories that I did, and they're still online for kids. And there's a huge production of Snow White that I did with music. We did original music, and we had a cast of actors, and I was the narrator, and it's still online. It's still there. It's free, and people just listen. But yeah, we did Snow White, and that was so fun to do. Yeah, we wrote the whole script and everything. I basically took the fairy tale and I adapted it into a script. So I had the characters with different actors playing them. And then I just recorded everybody. And then I had a composer who was a friend of mine, and he did all of the music. And he played the music on a keyboard, which one of those electronic things. It can sound like violins and stuff, And so we did the whole very orchestral music, and we actually wrote songs. So there's songs like the queen, the stepmother, sings a song. Snow White sings a song. I think and the dwarves. The dwarves sing a song. Yeah. Oh, kids, yeah, lullaby. Yes. Reading to kids is a really fabulous thing to do. It's so good for their brains. It's really good. Yeah. It's one of the best things, I think, that parents can do. Yep. You read to a kid and it just is, if they're going to be at all like interested in reading later on, that reading to them will have a real major effect. Yeah, it won't let you change the songs. Yeah. Yeah. I remember reading. Yeah. Well, I used to read to my daughter, even like on airplane rides. Boy, I'm sure the other passengers, I should have looked around because they were probably all sound asleep. reading Dr. Seuss, all those rhymes and stuff. My daughter loved me to read Lemony Snicket, A Series of Unfortunate Events. I think that's what it's called. I used to read those out loud. Those are fun to read because they're funny as hell. Same for, yeah, kids, man, once they get their favorite things, they're very attached to them. Yeah. And they can be really sharp about anything that's different. Like, That's because their little brains are developing really, really fast. Yeah, but part of that, the reason I did those kids' audio stories, because I remember I enjoyed reading in person. And I was like, oh, this is actually something that would be really fun to do, and make these recordings and put them out there. And if you can work with other people doing stuff like that, it's really a lot of fun. Yeah, all the creativity that goes into making the sounds and the music. Yeah. Well, and tarot is very much like a story too. You're kind of telling a story when you do tarot. Probably most people who seek tarot somehow love stories as well. Let me see. Yeah. I have finally mastered the art of using the background music audio thing. It seems to keep working without any effort. I use an audio service that gives you music that you can use in anything that you do, like a video or a live stream, and its royalties are all taken care of automatically forever. So even if your membership stops, once you've made the video or done the stream with the music, as long as you were a member when you did it, that music is licensed for you in that video forever, which is great. It's a really, really great service because it eliminates all that worry. Like sometimes if you're gaming and you stream, like Fortnite, for example, and actually I have to confess, I like playing Fortnite. I haven't played in a few months, but I really enjoy it. I think it's a brilliant, brilliant game. and incredibly skill based, and requires genuine ability to win. And I have like 460 wins. Wait, is it 400? Or is it 560? No, it's 460 something. But if you stream Fortnite and you get in one of the cars and the radio in the car goes on as you're driving around in the game, the songs will give you a copyright ding on YouTube. So you have to make sure you don't let the car radio go on if you're streaming Fortnite. You have to make sure the radio is silenced in the cars, which you can do. Otherwise, they'll say, you used a song that wasn't licensed. But it was, and I remember the first time this happened to me, I was like, what? I was just playing the game. What song? And then I realized, oh my God, it's the songs in the cars. And so I was like, well, they shouldn't do that. They shouldn't be doing that. So, but YouTube makes it very easy, because they'll say it's not a big problem. They'll just say, hey, there's this song in there. You can take care of it. Do you want us to mute it? And they'll mute it for you in your video automatically. And you just say, yeah, mute it. But it's just weird that Fortnite allows these damn songs to be used in their game, and they don't take care of that. It should be, they know people stream games, so anything they put in the game should be free and clear. Anyway, that's just one of those interesting little quirks of streaming in today's world. And that's why the music that I'm playing here comes through a service that eliminates all of these concerns. It's called Epidemic Sound. Really good. I signed up and I actually paid to be a member. They give you a month, I believe, for free using it. And then it kicks into a fee, and I just said, you know what, let me just do a year. So I got a year's membership. It's not expensive, and all your music is like good to go. Okay, well, Bubble, thank you for coming. Good luck with this acting up. maybe your son just needs a story read. Could be that. Okay. Good luck with it. And yes, I'll be coming back. I think I might do tomorrow, actually. I'll do tomorrow or Friday. They're not on my stream schedule, but I like to do them anyway. So thank you, Bubble. I'll see you. You come back anytime you like. I'm actually looking at a tarot book. tarot books have become a genre. You know, they're an actual genre of book. They I don't know. I kind of enjoy them. Water, verily, is greater than food. Meditate on water. Well, my little made up Princess in the Woods story had water burbling and babbling in a stream through it. It's often when you get into sort of meditative ideas with story and sound, water comes in. It naturally sort of comes into the picture. Yeah, so anyway, the reason I mentioned that little water thing is because sometimes I like to open a book, any book really, but tarot book, and just open it to some arbitrary page and pull a phrase out. Or just read the first sentence for any card description in the book and just see what comes to mind. Little things like that I like to use tarot books for sometimes. It's also like a good way to buy a book. You know, if you're in the store and you see a book, you just turn to any page, just open it up randomly and just read that sentence there. And you read it, and if it has a quality that hits you, you may just buy that book, right? Just based on that random sentence. I do that all the time when I'm buying books. I'll like turn to page 300, whatever. Just like pulling a sentence out of the hat. Justice comes out. I just wanted to pull a card just to see. Justice. Wow. Balance. Fairness. Clarity. Doing the right thing. Oh, wow. Wheel of Fortune. That's about how you change. Karma. How things move through the story of your life. Well, I think we've done pretty well this evening. It's been a relatively quiet evening. We've had some nice readings. It's been very low key. In other words, I haven't had to do any catching up on the queue. Very nice. So I think I'll wind it up for tonight and come back probably tomorrow to do another one. I think Thursday's a good night. I should probably try to do more. I have Mondays and Wednesdays scheduled. I think Thursday might be a good day to put in. I have a feeling that people tend to do things like this maybe more on a Thursday evening. They start to relax a little on Thursday. So it might be a good move. I'm just thinking out loud right now, but it makes sense. So, okay, I'll wind it up. I think that's been a nice, quiet, easygoing Wednesday evening tarot. And as usual, it's been a pleasure. I always sort of find some little thing or figure something out or hit upon some slightly new angle for myself when I do these. So it's nice. And I like doing the I Ching in there. So I'm going to do a little bit more of that. Maybe find a way to enhance the I Ching, sort of my method. I know what I'll do. I'll do a thing where I can visually on the camera make the lines show up. Like have them draw the lines of the I Ching reading and put them on screen so that people can see clearly what I'm talking about. That's what I'll do. All right. It has been very nice talking and putting people to sleep. And I hope that everyone comes back tomorrow when I do this again for the third time in the week. So good night to all tarot folk out there. And I'll see this place tomorrow.